This is a Willets Point Shea Stadium bound 7 express train. The next and last stop is Willets Point, Shea Stadium.
Pete Alonso, re-sign or nah?
Resign, but don't go crazy. That's so. I'm thinking, like, if I'm the Mets, I think fair value for Pete Alonso will be somewhere between $25 and $30 million per year. I think giving him something like a 5-year deal, $140 million, I think would be very fair. But now we know who his agent is. That's a little part of the problem here. But I think Pete, if he looks in the mirror and is honest about himself and where he was this season, what he means to this Mets franchise, I know a lot of fans would like to see him break down Strawberry's home run record. Yeah, I think that's fair. I'll say resign because I'm gonna believe that Pete Alonso can bounce back. I wouldn't give him more than 5 years, though. That's my other thing. Excuse me. I wouldn't give him more than 5 years. That's the max I'd go to. I mean, honestly, preferably, I'd probably give him 3. But yeah, I'll say resign.
I agree with you. I think 3 to 5 years is perfect for him. I even think your price range too for him was the 25 to around 30 range is right where Pete Alonso should be. Otherwise, he is going to be waiting all the way through January, maybe even to February, just like JD Martinez and the rest of those guys of that Boris Corp had to wait for their contracts to be signed. Got a lot here. Carlos Ortiz agrees. Duran Rivera in there. I know Carlos Ramos says 25 and no more for him. Shea Parking Lot says 5 for 150. I kind of like that. I'll sign up for that.
Fine.
Lane Kerner also saying that as well as G Money Stacks also agrees with that. Next one, resign or not, Sean Manaea.
Yes, I'm gonna say yes in this very quickly. Manaea, he's 33. My only concern a little bit is the age. You talked about earlier him switching the arm angle following Chris Sale, but we saw that work wonders for him. Keep this on the short. Listen, he wants security and he wants money. He knows this is his last chance at 33 to probably get a lot of that. 3-year deal. I haven't thought really about the number for him exactly, but I would say give him a 3-year deal. Pay him he'll be in the second tier of free agent pitchers this year. I think he can profile as a low number 2 starter in this league. Maybe a 3 depending on who else the Mets add. But yeah, I'd give him a 3-year deal. I'd give Sean Manaea a 3-year deal. If that's right. Can I see him pushing for 4? And if I was him, I would too. Yeah, maybe give him something with 3 years and maybe a player option. I'm sure the Mets would want a team option, but I think something in that realm you can see for the Mets. But I like Sean Manaea. I think he's a good part of the culture. I'd bring him back. Yes.
I think for me, a 3-year 60. I think that's something that would be a nice fair deal for him. If, like you said, if he pushes 4, maybe they could do a player option or something like that. A lot of people in the chat in agreement with bringing back Sean Manaea. How about this one? This one's a little bit tougher. Resign or not, Luis Severino.
This is tough. I liked what Sevy did. He was a gamer. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. I think it's the first no I'll say. Pass on him. I think he'll get some money elsewhere. I have a feeling the Mets will say no too. Yeah, I'm saying no to Luis Severino. That's no shade to him because I think
not at all.
Overall was solid. And I thought he would be solid. He was the one pitcher out of this group I thought was going to be solid this year. I'm going to say no. I just don't. I think when it gets bad, when you get bad Sevy, it's bad Sevy, and it's just too many walks. I trust Sean Manaea and the value in putting in him and his control and his ability and what he's shown to adjust to different lineups. I think he'll be fine. I'm gonna say no to Sevy. I'm gonna pass on Sevy. I think you can put money into the rotation in a better spot, in a better player.
Yeah, I was thinking if the price was right, maybe like a 1 or 2 year deal, but the way he pitched, I'm pretty sure he's going to get more. I think he's going to definitely get somewhere around 3, possibly a 4-year deal if he can. I really like Sevy, and he was one of the guys that I really wanted to come here last year to be around that 4th or 5th start. Obviously, he had to be a 1 or 2 with the Senga injury.
Right.
But, with Sevy, actually, with the emergence of Sean Manaea and how well he pitched, I think that was kind of the, nail. I don't want to say nail in the coffin, but I would be shocked if at the very least one of these guys is not in the rotation next year. Can we agree on that? Whether it is Manaea or Severino?
I would agree with that. I just think it's more likely that's Manaea. I think the Mets focus will be more on Manaea. I think we trust Mania more. Yeah, I think so. But I would be shocked if one of the two weren't back. Yes, I'd be shocked.
Yeah, a lot of difference. Ethan saying he wouldn't extend Sevi, but offer him. I don't know if Sevi has a qualifying offer. I don't think he does.
I don't think so. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I
Yeah.
do not think so.
Carlos Ramos saying he's not opposed to it, but it's not a priority. So I think we all are in agreement that Sevi is not a priority coming in to this offseason. Resign or not, Jose Iglesias?
This is a tough one. This is a tough one too. Because I don't know what he wants. Well, I do know one thing. Jose Iglesias wants to stay up in the major leagues. And he's proven that he could do that this year. I just don't know the money he wants. This is what I'm going to say. Yes, if the price is right. And here's my thing. He's a nice extra infielder to have. You got the good vibes. Yeah, they're not going to be doing the OMG thing forever. I get all that. I understand that. But I do think there's positivity for him in the clubhouse, particularly how he worked to get back to the major leagues. I think that can't be understated, especially on some of the younger Latino players like Mark Vientos. I think that was huge too. There's just there's a grit and winning mentality I like around with Jose Iglesias, and he's the kind of guy that's like, I want that guy in my clubhouse. He's that kind of dude. If you can get him on another 1 year deal, a 2 year deal, maybe a deal with a team option, which is something I could see, you got to bring him back.
And you look at the stats around him and the teams he's been on, he's always had that grit. He's always made his teams better as playoff teams and all that. And I think for me, a major league deal for him for sure. And to be coming off of that bench, that depth that we need. I don't want him starting every day. You saw as we got towards the postseason, he started to tire out there. So he is for me, a platoon bench guy along the lines as well as this guy for me. Same thing. I want him back as well. And that's Jesse Winker. I like what I saw from him in the postseason. He brings a different kind of grit and energy to this team, more of a toughness, more of a get under the other team's nerves. And that's something that's been missing from this team. So I'm also Jose Iglesias, yes, for me. Jesse Winker, yes, for me as well. But how about you? Resign or not for Jesse Winker?
I'm with Jesse Winker for the same reasons. I like a little antagonist on the team. I always like that. So excuse me. I bring him back. I think these are players that are going to be low cost moves that can have good values on that. Maybe you get them a year deal with a team option or a player option. I think these are low cost moves the Mets can make that fit into their culture and guys you need to fill in off the bench. You want to have a good bench, and you have guys who want to be here and be off the bench. I say do it, bring them back. So I'm going to say yes to Jesse Winker as well.
For the bullpen, re-sign or nah, Ryan Stanek.
No, I'm going to pass on Stanek. I thought he was okay up and down at certain points. And see, bullpen is tough for me, Anthony, because with pens, you sometimes never know what you're getting year to year. You never know. And so sometimes, and I think the Mets have shown this, I'm fine with mixing them up. The guys I was trusting at the end, I love Buto. I love Phil Maton. I thought he was really good in the second half. Yeah, I could go. Stanek, I'll say no. What do you say?
I am on board with re-signing him. I think that his postseason did enough for me to make me believe he's a postseason pitcher. He did it in Houston.
He was better in the postseason. I do have to say that.
Yeah, his regular season, the transition for him coming over here was a little bit rough. But once he got in the postseason, I thought that he did a great job. And as we're seeing, a lot of these bullpen guys are going for a lot of money. If we can get Stanek on a reasonable deal, I will make that deal. To go along with the Budo and the Daniel Nunez. And they have to solidify that middle part of the bullpen because you can't just go to Edwin Diaz in the 6th and 7th inning to get big outs. These guys have to get these big outs. And I think Stanek is one of those guys that can do it. And that's why I would bring him back. On the other hand, when it comes to the bullpen, re-sign or nah on Adavino, big nah for me. Absolutely
hell no. Sorry, Adam. I know you're a fellow Brooklynite, but I'm sorry. Nah, man. I don't even have to be long-winded on this. we don't need to see Adam Ottavino out there anymore. I think a lot of people were saying that at the end of 2023, they weren't trying to see Adam Ottavino out there anymore. So no, and I think you made. I just want to go back to what you said about Standing. I thought you made a good point about, I think I was a little bit sour on how he finished the regular season, but there was an adjustment period for him coming over. He was better in the postseason. I do think that's a good point. And if you do think he's a guy who can get you big outs in tough spots, like he did in the postseason, then yeah, I think I'd be fine with bringing him back. And he could stabilize the other two guys you mentioned, Daniel Nunez and Jose Buto, in that bullpen. So I can see that. Adam Ottavino, hell no. No, we're good. Adam, thank you for your service. We appreciate you, but it is time. It is time.
Yeah, it might be time for him to go back to SNY. He had that little short spurt where he was on SNY for a little bit. He might be that might be his next place.
I said that now, and I might see Adam Ottavino around the office. And if I do, I will tell him thank you for your service. I will do that.
Last pitcher on our list here: re-sign or not, Jose Quintana.
Oh yeah, man, I almost forgot about him being a free agent. I say no. I think if you're going to go Manaya, I'll even say I think I'd rather bring back Sevy than I do Quintana. I think Quintana has served his purpose. I just don't. Two things. I don't trust him to be able to pitch through a full season. Quintana's now 36, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm going to say no. I liked Jose Quintana. I liked that signing a couple years ago. I thought it was a good signing, but I just think you got to get a little younger in the rotation, and I think it's time to move on from him. I still think Quintana can pitch. I want to be very clear. I think he can help a team. I just think for this Mets team and where they're going and where they're at, I don't think he fits this roster anymore.
Yeah, it's a nah for me too, with Jose Quintana, unless, we are coming down to the last, signings of starting pitchers and you need depth. Like, he cannot be your number one, number two starting pitcher. Like, he had to start off the season as the number one with all the injuries that the Mets had. He cannot be that guy. He's not an ace. He's not a guy that's going to blow batters away. So for me, if Quintana is going to be that fourth or fifth guy, and now at this point in time, like, it's probably David Peterson's time to be that fourth or fifth guy and solidify that rotation. I don't believe in Tyler McGill. I think he's just a depth option when you need someone in a pinch. But for me, I think you're moving on, and David Peterson's the younger version of this that you're going to need moving forward. Two more players I have left, and they're on the offensive side. Re-sign or not for JD Martinez. I mean, I'm pretty sure we're both in the opinion of nah here, because I think it's time. I think Father Time has come for him.
Father Time has comes for us all. JD Martinez, thank you for your service too. He should not be unmentioned in that he was huge in helping this Mets lineup, particularly in the beginning of the season, particularly in the time when they were turning things around after that terrible May. He hit really well. But we saw through the playoffs, struggling a little bit. And he got his, one last year as a DH. It's also, this is another thing. I'm just going to say the Mets where they are, they don't want to be too old. So some of the older players, I think they're going to cut some of the ties and get some younger veterans in there, and I think JD Martinez. So no, JD Martinez, no for me. But that was a good sign. That was a good signing by Stearns. We just have to say, for this season, it was a good signing.
It was a good signing, especially for the price that they got him for. What he did for the team from June till about, I want to say, August, he was a big part of the offense and what they had. By the time we got to the end of September and the postseason, he was pretty much, done. And Jesse Winker, took over that role. And I think the Mets were, I want to say 7-2 in the postseason with Jesse Winker as the DH, opposed to having JD Martinez. He just, the time has come for him. And I think even at the beginning of the season, he said if he wasn't signed, he was going to retire. So I think that we are coming to that. This one, I don't know how difficult this is, but Harrison Bader. Now, we always need depth in the outfield. We saw with Brandon Nimmo's injury and Marte not always 100% healthy. Obviously, the Mets are going to go after Soto as their number one target in the outfield. There's also Anthony Santander out there as a backup option as well. Where's your stance on Harrison Bader? Because I think we know he's like that 240 type guy, but he'll provide you with great defense. I think, to me, if he's coming off the bench, that's more of a re-sign for me. But as a starter, to be playing every day, that's a nah for me.
It's a no for me too. If he's your fourth outfielder, fantastic. If but I don't think it's what the Mets need right now. They need somebody, I think, in center field that maybe isn't the Gold Glove caliber level that Harrison Bader is, because he's tremendous out there defensively. But they need somebody. They need to add somebody into the outfield with a little bit more pop. Starling Marte, older. You need to inject some youth and some pop into that outfield with somebody that can play reasonably good defense. Doesn't have to be Gold Glove level defense, and this is why you're trying to go get a Juan Soto or Santander. Yeah, nah, this is a no for me. It just doesn't fit. He was a great sign for what the Mets needed last year, but the needs have changed. Things done changed, and I think Harrison Bader can obviously still help a team, but I have a feeling he's not going to want to be a fourth outfielder, and probably not here. So yeah, it's a no for me. The Mets have to upgrade their outfield, and he's not going to be a way of doing that.
Yeah, they definitely do. And also, I think we have one more year, as Shea Parking Lot is putting in, one more year of Tyrone Taylor, who had, I thought, a pretty good season as
Yeah,
that backup outfielder and being depth. Ethan saying he'd rather have Jet Williams or even Drew Gilbert, who's been talked about a lot during this Arizona Fall League, about having them kind of be, the new guys coming up as our Mets prospects.